Strong podcast. We interview Canada's top amateur to pro female strength athletes. We do this to empower women to train and compete for strength sports. I'm Stephanie, owner of Defini Dance. I'm the artistic director and founding board member of Manitoba's first dance and fitness education company for people with disabilities. I'm third Manitoba Strongman and Scottish Highland Heavy Games athlete as a heavyweight. You can follow me on YT and IG. Just look up Thick Stephanie or Fantastic the Dancer. I'm always offering free tutorials of the dance. If you like to shake that ass and you want some curvy tutorials, then check me out. They're free. Today's episode is all about how to create a program that works for you. It's March. We're in a lockdown. All of us sisters are locked down in our house. We're trying to train by ourselves. We need assistance. So I have the lovely, amazing Sue. I call her Sweet Sue. Susie. She's so beautiful and sweet. Sweet Sue, like a southern. She's like a Southern belle. I'm telling you, she's so sweet and gentle. Yeah. And what's her Instagram, girl?
It's Sue Cooks and Lifts.
Because
like,
I cook think about it for a second. I don't know what it is. Yeah, so she had a food truck of deliciousness. No, wait, you still have a food truck. What am I saying? Had? Yeah. What's it called?
It's called One of a Tie.
That's what I thought. One of a tie. How'd you come up with that business name, girl?
Okay, so one day the guys and I were just playing poker on a Friday night. And then we're just like talking about like, because I was like opening up my food business and I just didn't know what to call it. And then we're playing poker and I was like thinking, like 4 of a kind, but then also, and then I was like, you know what about one, of one of a kind, but one of a tie, because it kind of rhymes, I guess. I don't know. And it just happened. I was playing poker and then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to call my business One of a Tie. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. And it just caught on. And that's how I got my name.
It's so funny because I never address people with their normal names because I've always been bad with names. But man, can I remember people's Instagram? So I love when it's like catchy, like One a Thai. I love Thai food, man. I just love Asian food, period. Like I go to food court and it's like it's screaming out to me like Manchu Wok. I'm like,
right?
The smells, the variety. And there's Subway beside it. And I'm like, this is too white for me. Like if anyone's ever gone to like a social with like Asian food, or like a Spanish social,
oh my god.
So
I miss
go
those.
back to that in a second. But yeah, so like I said, it's March. So we're going to talk about today with Sue, upping your training game. So how do you so let's say you're in your routine, it's going really well and you're feeling pretty good, but you're like, how do I up it without getting too crazy, and staying still consistent? So Sue is a personal trainer at Anytime Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And so she's got amazing tips for us. And like I said, if you are in the Yukon, you can come check her out. No? Why do I think you're from Yukon? Huh? Yellowknife.
Northwest Territories.
Why? Oh, you know what? I know why. Because there's 2 people I follow that remind me a lot of you. They're both heavyweights. And she's I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So now you know where she actually is. The universe is like, be humbled. Okay. Master. Yeah. So like I said, thank you guys for listening in. You can listen in to the end and you will hear exciting news and tips and her real life story of how she entered into strength sports. So yeah, thanks for being on my show today. Hey. Oh, I'm actually, so back to this whole food thing. I'm actually curious because how did I find out about you? I think I saw you on some Instagram post for the Strongman comp in Manitoba. Yes, you're the reason why I do Strongman. So that's why I wanted to see you, because I found a picture of you. That's a long time ago, so I don't remember. But I was trying to do Strongman competitions. And then I found this newspaper article, and sorry if I totally failed this because I couldn't find it when I looked again. But you had a restaurant, not a restaurant, like not even a bistro, but like kind of like canteen in one of the arenas, right? And they were like, we don't want Thai food. You want chicken fingers. And you're like, bro, Thai food's the shit. Why do you want burgers? They're like, can't you just make us a burger, bro? Not
Yeah.
everyone likes Thai food, and you're like, well, screw that bitch. And then you start your own food truck, which I think is so fucking badass. So I want to know more, man. I want to know more about that. Been
Yeah.
curious for a very long time. Tell
Yeah.
me.
So we've been in the curling club for like 5 years, and it was a new. We're dealing with a different guy who was the president at the time, and he was just like, yeah, come come do your Thai food in this canteen. It's like a little tiny like space, like literally 4 to 5 people can only fit in this space, but we made it
Someone's got to
work.
suck in.
Yeah, totally. And come on now, I was like, all
No
right, so
seconds
it's
for you.
pretty much it's kind of like a food truck. It's kind of like a food truck, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so we were there for 5 years. We made a name for one of a tie. We actually brought people into that curling club. Like nobody goes into the curling club for any reason except for curling. And the fact that we were there, there's a lot of people that actually knew about it. Nobody knew about the curling club, so we pretty much got that name out there.
Yeah.
And then, so after the 5 years, then there's a new president that came in. So he's an older fella, he was just like,
You're so
he,
polite. Sweet Sue. Hello. No,
older,
the hello.
yeah, older fella. So he's like, but he's always been curling there and stuff. But I don't know, all of a sudden he just had a problem. He's just like, well, we're just gonna have a meeting because, well, first of all, they want to increase our rent, which I didn't have a problem with because I kind of, I was like, okay, well, obviously 5 years with the same rent, and I get it, you need to increase it, which is fine. But then all of a sudden he starts talking about my menu, and then he's like, oh well, some of us here are, when we are curling, instead of going next door, which is literally like 5 seconds away, because there's a hockey rink right beside us. He's like, instead of going for us to go next door to get a hamburger, why can't you also make hamburgers down here as well? And I was like, maybe because our kitchen is small, and you already know that our kitchen's small. Like, how am I supposed to make Thai food, which is different from anywhere else, and then you just want a cheap ass, hamburger? Like, what the hell? I was like, no, no. And then I thought it over. I thought it over, and I was like, hey, do I actually really want to, you know, change my whole menu so I can satisfy this old man and make him a hamburger and fries? And then I was like, oh, and then my cousin and I were talking about like, hell no, we are not gonna do that.
Hell, shit,
Like,
no.
yeah. I was like, you know what? It's either you continue to have me here and to do my own thing, or I am leaving. So I was like,
Right.
this is it. I am leaving. And then the fact that he was just like, oh, everybody else is thinking the same. Why aren't you offering other dishes? And you know what the funny thing is?
Bully.
We actually talked to the people on the board of the committee, and nobody had a clue that he was going to talk to us about this. And I was like, really? They're like, yeah, he went on his own and got like, other, like, whatever, whatever, the city or whatever involved. And nobody knew that people on the board of the curling club were like, okay, why are they leaving? And yeah. And
So
because
this
of
is
him.
so this is a bit off the topic, but I mean, I've been teaching dance and fitness in rural areas for a long time, and I can say it's pretty white. It's pretty conservative.
Yes.
And I've been I've spent the last 12 years of my work trying to get cultural dance in rural areas because it's mostly like, Pokerama and just like, Winnipeg. Um, and it's hard, man. It's hard. And I can get grants. That's not a problem. There's people interested, but
Mhm.
it's like this silent thing. No one's ever said it, right? Um, but the behavior speaks, right? There's red tape. So I always have like, someone who's like a board manager or community representative who approaches me, says, I love your work. I love what you represent. I love who you are. And I really want to, you know, I want to see our kids, be exposed to culture. And,
Mhm.
they're homeschool kids or small town kids. I was a small town kid.
Yeah.
So, coming to the city, I definitely was culturally illiterate, and I've spent my whole 20s, entrenching myself in cultural education. And I can't imagine my life without it, and I miss it with the lockdown. I don't have any exposure to cultural food. I don't have any exposure to cultural dance, and I miss it like crazy. I mean,
Oh.
virtually, yes, but it's just not the same. So,
Mhm.
you know, um, I think like, um, I feel like that must have been really hard for you. It must have been hard because it wasn't you. You know, your food was good. It was successful. It sounds like people liked it from what I did with my research. But it's like, it's interesting because food trucks are really expensive to start. So I think that's pretty badass that you like, we're like, well then. So how have you still been able to reach your Patreonage? I ever say that you know what I'm trying to say. How do you like still been able to work in the community with food truck? Talk to me about that transition. Oh, I forgot to mention, you guys. So the reason why I'm interviewing her, she's like a heavyweight strongman. She's actually just started in powerlifting. She plays a ton of sports and has really interesting hobbies, lots of accomplishments. She's going to list that in a second. But she's there's more than meets the eye, and she's unique. And I think she's representing her community and being a voice where there isn't a voice. And I respect the hell out of that because I know how hard that is. So, anyways, talk to us about that transition, girl. Purchasing that food truck.
Yeah. So what was the transition? Because actually, when I first opened at the canteen, I actually had a food trailer. So it was just literally, I had my truck. I have this trailer that only fit 3 people, some tiny little dinky, like one burner, one grill, like a tiny grill. We had to makeshift everything. Like it was so crazy. I can't believe we made it work. But then after the 5 years that when we were pushed out of I would say pushed out of the curling club.
Yeah.
We're like, well, hell, I am going to get me an upgrade, a freaking badass food truck that
Please.
is a freaking better kitchen than the one I had anyways down at the curling club. And yeah, so we just took that and then just made it grow. We took it to festivals. We like crazy lunch hours, like crazy people were, I'm not gonna lie, but there was actually when I first like launched my food truck and stuff like that, we actually had to the point where there was like other restaurants there, one in particular was complaining to the city actually, and they're saying, like, we shouldn't be there, or there shouldn't be one food truck, whatever. But now we're all spread out. It's all good now.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, I'm telling people, like, people choose to go where they want. It's not like I said, hey, come here, you
No,
know.
okay, so another thing is like, so because I'm a country kid, I went to lots of socials growing up, right? And
Mm,
I'm gonna offend so many people. I'm pretty sure that that crowd doesn't listen to this podcast, so it should be fine. But like I used to go to like all these socials and just growing up, like going to white little Baptist churches and shit. Like it'd always
mhm.
be like sandwiches, like rye bread and deli meat and cheese. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is so fucking boring. Like the diet I grew up with was so fucking boring. But
Yeah.
my older sister and brother, we're half brother sisters, they're Chinese. And so I did
Oh,
have that. Yeah, that's why I'm
okay.
down with the panda. I always had
Okay.
pandas growing up, like stuffed animals, because like right, and with like the like fortune
Yeah.
cookies. Yes, that's why I love you for that. I want to get a matching one with you, so we can be like
Oh my
hoodie
gosh.
sisters.
Yes.
Totally got it. But
I got
anyways,
you, girl. Honestly, after this, you send me your address. I'll send you an Udi.
oh my God, I love you. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. And then we should like do like duo TikTok videos and oh my God. Okay, we're so
Yes.
good. Okay, let me know.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a song. Okay, fuck guys, we're gonna post it. And you got it. You got it. Oh, I just got an idea. Okay, so every month I do a contest. What month is it? March. Okay, so March. We're gonna do a TikTok dance challenge. I just got the dog all hyped. The dog's like, oh
Sorry.
shit. I'm gonna post it, you guys, and I'll give you guys a prize if you do a really good TikTok dance. Do it with us. Join in on the video. Because Sue's like on that. I'm actually the one who told Sue to do it, and then I didn't even do
I
it
am
because I
totally
brought
on
it
it.
up.
Totally on it.
I'm gonna be on it though. Now there we go. Done. Sealed. Done. Dog. Stop it. I love you. Okay. So
I
anyways,
know.
what the heck was I saying? I'm totally distracted by this dog
I
now.
know. Sorry.
I'm like, oh, squirrel, ADD. So let's start with the questions then.
All
And
right.
then, okay.
He starts
So,
barking. He
huh?
only barks. He hears a sound and he'll just bark. But because
You're the
his
second
mom,
person now to
his
have
mom is
dogs
his
barking in
mom's on a
video.
his mom's on a date right now, so I have to watch the dog.
Your mom's on a date?
No, the dog's mom. The dog's mom.
Oh,
My cousin. My cousin.
what? Tell me more. But no, I just like, so when I
Damn
back to the
it.
social thing, First time I went to a social that had like Spanish food, I was like, this is how people should live. And I could never go back to like a white social. I just get so bored and offended
Right?
with
Oh my
country
God.
music. I'm like, I can't do this. Sorry. I'm baptized in truth
No.
and righteousness of culture. So question number one, as the only heavyweight strongman slash powerlifter and food truck owner and personal trainer in where you're at, where you live right now, where did you draw your inspirations from to, go on this multifaceted path?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay,
Yes, I got the
so
words.
yeah. So when I first started training, like I just wanted to obviously when you first start working out, you just want to, lose weight and like just stuff like that, right? And then all of a sudden, like when I got introduced into like actual like lifting, like learning how to squat, bench, deadlift, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, this is life changing. This is awesome because trying to freaking like deadlift a certain amount of weight at that time, like this was probably in like 2004 2014 when I first, really really got into it. And then just seeing other people, and I didn't really even follow like a lot of like powerlifters or anything until recently, but I just kind of like did my own thing. And then like 2016, I was like talking to this lady. She's a trainer at another gym, and I was like, we're talking about powerlifting, and I was like, hey, would you ever want to, like go into powerlifting competition? Like, I think she was about almost like she's either maybe like in her 50s or turning into her 50s at that time, and she's like, oh yeah, I would love to get into powerlifting. And a lot of people I talked to would go powerlifting, but for some reason nobody took that step to actually do it. You know what I mean? Like we all like train, like, lifting, but nobody did it. And I said to myself, well, I'm going to train myself and I am going to actually do it and start competing because nobody in Yellowknife was actually doing it. So I was like, I'm going to start it off. So I left that gym that I was working at. I went and started training on my own, started doing, and then all of a sudden I saw, Anna Ladissima, I think I think you follow her. She's Ryan and Anna. They do strongman competition. She's like the little tiny Filipino
Sounds
girl.
familiar. It's hard, especially because I've been recruiting for the podcast. I look at so many people's
Yeah.
feeds, it just meshes together.
So anyway, so this little Filipino girl, I went to high school with her, and I saw that she was like,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, her husband is like does the competes as well. And then
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
saw her, and she was like, "Oh, I'm training to compete in my first strongman competition, which is in Steinbach and da da da." I messaged her immediately, and I was just like, "Girl." I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, strongman. I'm like, what is that? And she's like, oh, this is da da da, right? She's telling me about it. And I'm like, girl, I'm like getting Yellowknife. I'm like, I want to join you. I want to do this. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. She sent me the link. She's whatever. I emailed everybody and I got in contact with them. Next thing you know, I'm in my first strongman comp. Is it Novus? Is that how you say it? Novus? Novus. Yeah, something like that. So
Novice.
it was, yeah. So it was in Steinbach, and then there's my first one. And I don't have any strongman equipment here. There's no we didn't have any yokes. We didn't have any, what do you call those, logs, yokes, and axle bars and all that, and the big oh my god, my brain. What do you call it, the big stones? Atlas stones.
Oh, Atlas stones. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what is a big stone? So anyways, I end up going my first one, and then I end up coming like I end up coming in second. Like I just lost by like 2 points. I don't even know how I did it. I just did it. I was like, okay, damn, this is addicting, And the fact that, and what really, really motivated me was that to doing strongman, you don't have to be a certain, like for me myself, I didn't have to be a certain weight. I didn't have to cut weight. I didn't have to wear like, I was really self-conscious like about wearing a singlet and all that stuff, powerlifting, right? So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, oh, you mean you don't have to wear a singlet? You mean you can wear just shorts and your t-shirt and just, whatever, right? And I was just very like, oh man, I love this sport. And then I ended up doing 4. I ended up doing 4. But then all of a sudden I was like, and then I'm just gonna continue like how I got into powerlifting, because I met one of my shows that I did in Regina, Tana Stevens.
Yeah, I'm
So,
interviewing her. She's gonna be on the show too.
oh, is she? Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's my
Yeah.
coach now. And
Oh
it was
yeah, yeah.
crazy because when she met me, when I did the Regina one, the adrenaline competition there, everyone was probably like, who is this freaking Asian chick from Yellowknife? Because I like, so honestly, I was so close to beating their top. Everyone was talking about Jill, can't remember her name, but she's like the bodybuilder there. She's like
Bartlett. Am I wrong?
Jill
Bartlett.
something. I can't remember. But anyways,
That's
everyone
what
was
we talking
saying,
about though. Yeah.
yeah, but they're like, oh yeah, she's the girl. She's gonna win it all, this and that. I was like sitting there while they're talking to me, and I was like, all
Nice.
right, all right. Yeah, I honestly was like 2 points away from getting to beating her, and it was just such a rush. But then and then Tanya just approached me, and she's like, hey, she's like, come to my gym medal the next day, and she's like, I want to introduce you. So I met like was it Tracy? Yeah, Tracy, and then her, and it was so crazy
Yeah,
because
I'm
I'm like,
interviewing her too.
yeah, it's
We're
so
both gonna
crazy.
do the
So I
show.
met all of them,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, damn, this is crazy. And then yeah, and I end up making her my coach, and then getting into powerlifting, and then and I was like, dude, I'm like, yeah, I'm like a plus size, but I'm going to get powerlifting. I'm gonna wear the singlet. I'm gonna rock it. I didn't even, you know what I mean? Like I was at first, I
Well,
was
all of those things about you is what inspired me. So keep going. Because
yeah, and, and I freaking did it. Like I like, girl, when I walked into the Manitoba, the brick house one. So when I did my
yeah,
first powerlifting, and you got all these people like in there, and they're just, you know what I mean? They're not my size. They're just like
yeah.
whatever, and I'm just like, I don't care. I'm gonna wear the singlet, and I'm just gonna go. And then
Palm a single lettuce, palm a
yeah,
single lettuce,
and then the
palm.
fact that no, like, because I walked in there. It's funny because I walked in there with my Anytime Fitness sweater. I don't know if they saw the Yellowknife part, but they probably didn't know. But they're probably thinking, oh, because I'm from a commercial gym and not
Yeah,
like really like a a
yeah,
powerlifting strongman gym.
yeah, yeah.
So they're just kind of like, they didn't. Nobody really talked to me. They just kind of like, it was just my cousin and I. They just I was warming up. I think when I started warming up, I can kind of see people staring, that I was like warming up for my squats like 365, like this is my warm up, and everyone's
I
like,
s- no, we had a conversation about it, didn't we? We were working out at Brick House. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not trying to take credit, but I'm pretty sure,
mhm.
unless I imagined it, that we had a conversation and it was about powerlifting because I was looking into it too at the time before I got pregnant. Oops. Um, I wasn't
I
planning.
know,
I was planning to
that
be
was so
powerlifting
crazy.
strongman in 2020, people. I was
Yeah.
training for it. Shit. Anyway,
Mm.
I'm pretty sure we talked about it because I was like, I would tell you all the time, like, your lifts are fucking insane. Your dead squat is insane. You're like, no, sweet Sue, no. And then
Yeah,
I told you what the Nash, because I was looking it up and I wasn't for sure, because I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and I said, dude, you're already doing like the pro nationals weight. And you're like, no, no. And I'm like, dude, you should do it. I mean, like, you're like, I saw you train with me and I was blown away. And I mean, like just the small amount of time I spent with you, my like form improved so much. And I was like, dude, you're so good. You just don't realize it. Because that's the thing too, is when you're not around people who are telling you that or encouraging you that, you just
yeah,
compare yourself. Um,
yeah,
and this is why you inspired, why, like, part of the reason why I got into is because I can relate to you on so many levels. So for me, I've always been extremely athletic and I've always like, had a pretty good diet. And I started having an eating disorder when I was 8, because I was always really tall. I was taller than the boys. I was thicker. I was more muscular. I actually got made fun of my gym teacher in elementary school because I had such a muscular back. But because I was disabled, I just couldn't do gymnastics because I had like scoliosis and my hip pain and
yeah,
stuff. I just couldn't,
yeah.
and asthma. And so I just got bullied a lot. Got bullied by phys ed teachers. I got bullied by my boy peers.
Damn.
And I was more of a tomboy. And my stepdad, like, I don't care. We don't have a relationship. I'm going to say it. Yeah, but he
Mhm.
used to call me fat. And so I wasn't even fat. I was skinny. And so that's actually what caused the weight gain. As I just traumatized the hell of my hormones because I started like binge eating, but I didn't know what any of
Yeah,
that was, right? As a small town kid, as by myself, I actually started calling in sick to school because I was so ashamed of my looks. And I used to hate wearing shorts. I think it was around 10, because even my grandfathers, a lot of the men that I was surrounded with my life and my family, my uncles, grandfather would call me fat. And it's crazy because I look at pictures of myself as a kid. I was like, I'm fat.
Mhm.
Not that there's any problem with that. I'm just saying. But
Yeah.
I mean, I, like you just said, I could never, even when I was like a bodybuilder, just vegan, I was skinny, I still felt fat. I still covered up in hoodies. I never like let my clothing out. And as a dancer, I've always been bigger. I'm taller than the guys. And I've just never felt like I just fully expressed myself or be me. I was also stronger than the guys too in dance. So I
Yeah.
started like, lifting girls. And I just like, I remember watching strongman videos of wrestling as a kid. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that kind of stuff that looks really exciting, but doesn't exist in Canada, or didn't know about it, or didn't have that exposure. So I always did like you, like, because I know you do basketball and volleyball, you do all this kind of sports. And I did a lot
Yeah.
of cardio sports, and I danced, I did triathletes, like all the different kind of things. But that's not where my genetics were. But I didn't have it's representation, right? You talk about that with people all the time. It's so true. It's like you need representation, and that's why I admire you and respect you so much, because you didn't have that and you trailblazed. And because of you, even if you don't see it right now, so many more women are gonna like join the sports and train, because like you said, it's heavyweights and other sports. I love bodybuilding and training, but I was like, I've had kids. I don't want to do that. I'm not motivated. I don't want to cut,
Yeah.
I don't want to train. I want to train hard as fuck. And I
Yep.
want to take my diet and my fitness seriously, but I don't want to go through those things again. It's not
Yeah.
even about laziness or time. Like I don't explain. It's just mentally, I just don't
Yeah.
want to go there
No,
again.
I feel ya.
It
Totally.
wasn't healthy for me. Whenever I go down the route, it triggers eating disorders. It's just
Yeah.
not a good thing. So,
Yeah.
I needed something where I could be me, be strong, feel confident and powerful. And I
Yeah.
never used to train in shorts in the gym or anything. And at Brick House, like that's when I started doing that stuff. And it was because of Strongman. And it's because I don't, like I said, I don't remember how I saw your photo, but it led me to all these things. And I will always appreciate and respect and be so grateful for that, because my whole financial life has turned around. My whole life has completely changed for the better, and it's in a relation to Strongman, and it's because I saw you. So I
Aw,
really wanted to get you on the
girl.
show just to say thank you for being you, because when I was a trainer, I stopped being a personal trainer because I got called fat by my peers in the gym and commercial gyms. And
Damn.
I was like, I'm a size 4, dude. Like, there's no way I'm not even healthy because I'm this small. I shouldn't be this small. And it actually broke me, and I quit. And that's when I actually put on a ton of weight. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
You were
And I walked
size
away.
4 and they were
Yeah, I was size 4, is 175 pounds. I
yeah.
was a size small, extra small. And they told me I was obese. And that's when I was in school for law enforcement and
Oh
security.
my
And I was
god.
one of the only 3 girls in the whole class that was a woman. And the sergeants called me fat in my uniform. And I just, a lot of verbal abuse on my weight my whole entire life. I was like, if I'm a size fucking 4, I'm a vegan eating 1,200 calories a day, and I literally killed my organs. I fucked up my hormones, my adrenal glands. Okay. If I did all of that and I'm still not good enough, fuck it. Then I was like,
Yeah.
fuck it. I'm not fucking doing it again. And the only time I've ever felt powerful, happy, confident, strong is fucking strongman. And
Yeah.
I'm not where I want to be for powerlifting yet, but I will be. And that's my next goal. But
Yeah.
yeah, like it, people are like, oh, how can you walk around wearing that? I'm like, because why the fuck should I be ashamed? Out of everything I've done in
Right?
my life and my kids, like, fuck
Yeah.
you. Like,
Yeah.
bottom of the top, you know what I mean? But I just like all the things you do in your life, and I watch your videos. And guys, if you have not seen your videos on Instagram, lots of great workout ideas, inspired as hell. You have a really strong core, like your planks, all the workouts you do. Those were hard for me when I was that bodybuilder and I was really fit. So she's like, I think you're fit as fuck. And that's, once again, is like, I think there's so many women who have such unhealthy relationships with body image, even if they're thin, like gorgeous, healthy women who just think they're ugly. And it makes
Yeah.
me so sad. And I
Yeah.
just think like you're such an inspiration, because you just live your life and you just do you, and you're proud, and you should be fucking proud. I think you're beautiful inside and out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I
Aw.
saw your like, cause I follow you, and I saw you like, posting about your singlet and being confident, like that girl, that melted my heart like butter. I just thought it was beautiful. It made me want to do that more. So yeah, like, I don't know, man. Like, thank you for being you. And so I wanted to touch on, like, with this part of your path, like, you mentioned being Thai, being the only Thai girl at the time, starting to.
Yeah.
So being from a culture that, um, I don't know a ton about Thai culture, so I'm hoping you're going to educate me. But I
Okay.
mean, I feel like it's more traditional. Women have more traditional roles. I could be wrong, don't know. So like you joining into, strongman and your journey, How does your family support it? Do they support it? How has that changed your family around you? Like, what's your feelings on, culture and strongman in terms of being,
Uh,
Thai?
yeah. Okay. So, um, me lifting weights, my mom, she honestly, she didn't approve. She always says, you gotta stop lifting heavy. You're gonna hurt yourself. Blah blah blah. She would not support it, anything like that. And then all of a sudden, my mom, she got my cousin got her onto Facebook. She saw my videos. She started seeing my videos, and then all of a sudden, she just started like the first time that I actually knew that my mom was actually proud when she saw one of my videos. She actually showed her friends, and she was like, "This is look at my daughter. Look at my daughter. Look what she's doing. Look what she's lifting." I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "What? Excuse me?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's never done that. She's never supported it. Like just because she always thought like well, obviously I'm her only daughter, and she just didn't want me to get hurt. But she never understood why I do what I do. Like,
Yep.
why do you lift, heavy weights, things like that, right? Now that she comes to my competitions like that. Because she never watches me play sports. She's like, oh, whatever, this and that. Like she'll come once and then that, like, whatever. But she actually like came down, supported me. Like, oh my God, it was so crazy. Like when I went down to when I did the Humboldt competition and she was there and she was just like so proud and just loved it. Like when she was hearing me like, oh my goodness, you lifted this much, things like that. And like I honestly never thought that day would actually come because, and the fact that she is starting to lift weights now at the gym, like she's coming in, she's 65 years old. You can see her she'll like go do some overhead presses. You see her doing the hack squats. You see her like, oh my gosh. And everyone's like, I never thought that she would work out ever. Like because she always tells me, don't lift. So, don't work out
Yeah.
or don't lift or things like
Yeah.
so. Yeah. And then my whole family though, the rest of my family, they're so proud. Like my cousin's kids, so I call them my niece and nephews. They are so proud that they actually like they'll come watch me compete if I go in Manitoba or and then they'll mimic what I do and they just say, oh, auntie, you're so strong and this and this and oh my god.
Auntie, you're so strong.
So yeah, and they're like, auntie, you're so strong. And every time I go visit, they're like, lift me up, or things like that.
Aw, so
Like
cute.
cutest thing. I'm like, yeah. And my uncle, my aunts, they always encouraged me. Everybody always cheered me on. And also like honestly, I wish like my brother, like, who I wish he was still here, but I know that if he was, he would have been proud because um back then I remember him, he was into bodybuilding and things like that, right?
Mhm.
And when I told him like when I went on this, like I was on a weight loss journey. I've always been on a weight loss journey, just like how you were saying. But
Yeah.
my body, I don't know what it is. Like I'll lose weight and then it just like comes
So
back. I lose weight. You know what I mean?
I
It's just
was
like
gonna say,
it's
I always tell people I'm a bear, and I always say my husband's a lucky bitch because like he has 5 women that he's married to, depending on like the month of the year.
yes,
I'm like,
yes,
meet size 12, Stephanie. Meet size 18, Stephanie. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
totally.
you don't even need to date anyone else, bitch. Like you got me. And
Yeah,
what
yeah.
was to say about your relationship? Oh yeah, a couple comments forget. So and then keep talking if there's something that you still want to say on that because
Mhm.
I always when I watch your videos, I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's your cousin, her mom, or people lifting with her. But it's like strongman like helps you take control of your life and inspire people around you. And I feel like I think that it's so amazing that you're part of a commercial gym because traditionally commercial gyms and the thought of a fitness trainer, like when I was trying to, I'm not trying to make this about me, but when I was getting my fitness certification, when I first started out with YMCA, they didn't
Yeah.
want to give it to me. And they'll never agree. They'll never say they said this, but they did. The head trainer said, we don't want to give you it until you lose weight. And this is when I was, like I said, a size 4. I still was not skinny enough
Yeah,
for them.
that's crazy.
And even though I was certified up the ass and I was an amazing trainer and I was like, they wouldn't give me a management job. They wouldn't let me lead certain classes, like step classes, because they're like, you don't have the image.
No, oh my
I'm
gosh.
not even fucking shitting you. I have so much disdain for commercial gyms, probably in my mouth for the rest of my life because of
Yeah.
those experiences. So I just think it's really cool that you're in a commercial gym because women need people like you and trainers because you are legit. You are strong. This
Yeah.
whole myth of like you're a certain weight, you can't do certain lifts or exercises is like you said, it's like because we've seen those images our entire life, like you never think you can do these things, right? Like
Oh,
that's what I'm trying to
definitely.
say.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee in your gym you can outlift any girl. Like guaranteed.
Yeah. Honest, I'm not gonna
Guaranteed.
even lie, like not even in a girl like in Yell, it's pretty much in Yellowknife, not just even the gym, but that's what I guess makes me stand out more. And plus, honestly, I'm almost 40. I'm almost 40.
I don't
And
look it though.
thanks, girl. And that's why it even makes me like even more to just keep training, right? The older I get, the stronger I'm gonna get, and that's my goal,
Mhm.
anyways. And like, and the fact I know you're talking about like, becoming a personal trainer. I had that thought too, and I was like, I was so nervous. I was like, I can't believe I want to become a personal trainer just because I know
Yeah.
what I'm going through. I want to help other people who are going through. And I was so nervous when I got the job at Anytime Fitness, and I just like I can't believe how much clients I received. Like I have like clients that I've had for now since I started. So it's been like about I don't know, almost 2 years and stuff that hung on to me still because they believe in me. And I've have new clients because of what other people,
Well, you
think.
produce results, and that's the thing is like when I was
Yeah.
a trainer, I produced results, and then when my clients would show their friends the picture of me, they'd be like, "That's your trainer? Like she's not even like gonna. You should fire
That's
her. I got a skinny trainer." Like she would tell
yeah.
me, like constantly
That's
telling me these things,
crazy.
which is fucked up. And she'd be like,
Yeah.
they'd be like, but what she's doing is like help me more than any other trainer I've ever hired. So it's
Yeah.
like yeah, like I because I worked with a lot of wealthy like Caucasian women and stuff like that, real estate agents, people like that, and like just even comments like I want to go back to your relationship with your husband because comments like this wasn't even said to me that long ago, and I was like, wow, bitch. It's a girl I used to dance with, and she was like, oh, you're so lucky you have Mark, and it's like why? Because I'm plus size? Like what?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Uh, you're welcome to him. Like I know what I bring to the table, bitch. And
What the
so it's just like my value isn't changed because I'm heavier because I've had kids. And actually that's why I didn't want to have kids because I knew that it would change my body. And I knew that, I'd probably never look the same unless I had like plastic surgery. And I was just like, I don't give a fuck. And like for me now, I just want to like with the whole teaching the dance and fitness thing, like now I used to be really into teaching blessed to empower women in their bodies, but now I just really want to have a strongman gym. Like I really
right?
do. Like if I'm like I don't know if I like I ever want to go back into the commercial gym because it's a like I'm so glad we've come that far. Like I'm so glad that you have this gym that they support you and respect you and appreciate you because you produce results. Because I think it's something that still happens in the industry. Um and there's a lot of really great trainers that just are not represented like based on their size or even athletes, heavyweight athletes. So I think it's time, and results speak. I mean, you've had so much success in such a short amount of time. So that's going to
Mhm.
lead into our other questions. Yeah, so like what made you decide to become a personal trainer? Like I know you briefly talked about was there like a catalyst moment, like a specific time where you're like, hey, like you said, you have this knowledge in science, but what made you be like, you know what? I don't care what people think, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah. So what made me become a personal trainer? Okay, so backstory. I was at another gym. It was more like a CrossFit gym kind of thing.
Oh,
And
okay. Wow.
yeah, and I was like loving it. That's when I was like probably at my like fittest, probably not my strongest, but my fittest. Okay. So for my fittest was probably like I was like 215 pounds. That's my fittest. Okay. And I was feeling good. I was loving it. Like I was just, doing those workouts, like, those hit workouts and stuff like that. And I just like fell in love with like just trying to help people. And I honestly really wanted to like be a trainer there because I know they were, looking. And so I honestly thought I was like, okay, but I knew, sorry, I know my cousin's coming home. Bam, bam. So I knew that because of my like I deep
My
down
bad. Bam bam.
Bam, bam.
Got to pull the Flintstones voice, you know? Or Flintstone. Bam bam. Get outside.
Yeah.
I named my toddler Bam Bam when he was a little kid because he's always banging and breaking shit.
Yeah, this is Bam Bam right now. This is like Bam Bam. So yeah, so she's gonna come in soon, but so back I'm in my living room because my husband's playing COD right now, so Call of Duty. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah.
oh.
So yeah, so and then at the gym, okay, so I was really gung ho. I was like, and I was like, hey, I heard you guys are looking for some trainers, not particularly personal trainers, because I just need someone to lead the class kind of thing. And I know pretty much like all the all the moves and all the techniques that pretty much at that gym. And then the owner was like, oh yeah, that'll be great, for you to become one, but he didn't make it happen. Like he just kind of like, oh yeah. And I'm right there. I just knew, I'm like, I bet you, because I am not like what I'm, the size or whatever. Right. And then he ended up hiring some girl who didn't even give a shit about people's form, didn't give a shit about,
Totally.
yeah. And oh my gosh, that just totally like, totally why I left too.
Yeah.
So I just I just like, okay, well, luckily Anytime Fitness opened 2 years later, so that's why I went to another gym, trained
Oh,
on trained on my own and things like that. And then so when I went to the other gym, that's when I was like, yeah, I want to become a personal trainer, because I don't care, like I want to empower other women, I want to like help other people, I don't want people to get hurt, I want to work on their form, I want to be like, to help people on the journey, like I'm on my own journey.
like the
And
underdog, man, that no one like believes in or thinks he can do it. Um, yeah, sorry. I'm just
yeah,
like emotionally triggered because it's just such a beautiful, powerful, like brave thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just
yeah,
so brave, man. Like
yeah. And then I just like thought like, okay, well, and then I was like, talking to my cousin, talking to my husband, I was like, guys, do you think I can even do it? Like, I don't even know, because I'm not the size that everyone thinks that you should be. What if people don't want me because they're like, oh, she's a big girl, this and that. But honestly, people up here, they don't care. I have clients that are like finance ministers of NWT, like lawyers, like top lawyers, things like that. And they're like, I want Sue. Like I want Sue because she's not their typical, size, zero whatever girls like
yeah,
that, because they know
and
that I'm real. Like I will
yeah.
tell how it is. I will get you strong. I will get you, things like
You
that.
know what? It's
So
like once again, it's like genetics or genetics, and like I my only regret is that I wasted my 20s in the sense of like I wish I did YouTuber tutorials years ago. And it
yeah,
was literally like I paid people to like record my promo videos, and then they were like, they sent me the footage. Like, I really don't think you should make this. I'm like, well, I didn't really get flattering angles. So even the fucking people who like took my videos, and this is like a long time ago, would make those kind of comments. So it's like, luckily the industry is like the opposite now, right? In the sense of
mhm,
like, they want real women out there. I'm not saying that if you're skating out real women, that's what I'm saying. We're stop being all triggered shit. I'm just saying that it's finally inclusive.
yeah,
So yeah, and it's like, there's always gonna be the odd hater of like, oh, this is the big thing too, is like the mindset then was like, well, how can you teach people healthy habits if you're not healthy yourself? And I'm like, once again, if the person's clearly unfit, that's one thing. I'm not talking about based on looks. I'm talking about what they produce in the gym. If they produce in the gym, they produce in the gym. And
yeah,
that's why I started my own dance and fitness company, because I just gave up on commercial gyms. And it was a good thing that I did that. And people always say to me, like, Steph, man, like when I'd be working gyms, they'd be like, you should be running the place. And I'd be like, yeah, I know, but I've applied several times. and,
yeah,
and I honestly think it was that, because everything else was like overqualified. And, I lost weight again, and I tried to go back there again. There was still that mindset, because like the personal trainers, the people who ran the fitness programs were really skinny triathletes. And they had no idea about lifting or thing like sports
right,
nutrition. Like I'm like, why are you fucking talking about a subject you don't even know? Like it's
yeah,
so stupid to me. Like you're giving me advice and like saying really stupid shit. I always bring the story up because it's really funny. It's like I
mhm,
got injured with a barbell, and the guy that they hired as a manager was like this triathlete who should really just be like the cleaner of the place. I have no idea how he got a manager job. But anyways, in the fitness center, but he was like, I fucking drop a barbell on my leg and dent my leg, and he's like, ask me what I ate that day. Like when he was doing the first aid and like his report, I'm like, you're such a fucking idiot. Like once again, that's such a body shaming fucking comment. What do you think I ate? A fucking like a chicken? I don't know. What do you think I ate? Like deep fried chicken? And that's why I dropped a barbell on myself. Like, no, I dropped a fucking
Yeah.
barbell on myself because I was being a dumbass and lifted too much weight. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God.
frick. So yeah, so that's when I joined Brick House. That's when I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I just refused to give a shit. And thank God for Instagram. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. You know what? I still get people who message me, and this is offensive as fuck. You used to have it on Facebook too, but they'd message me like, hey, I can see you're fat as fuck. I'm a fitness trainer. Can I train you? I'm like,
Oh my
who
God.
told you this was a good way to get clients? I don't get them often, but once in a while. And
Yeah.
like if I use a hashtag like nutrition coach or something, I'm like, mother bitch.
Yeah.
Because I used to do things before they were cool. Like before Vine was cool, TikTok was cool. I was like posting recipes and shit. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, now it's cool. I'm like, I don't want to do it, but I'm like, I'll do it because I just want women like to see. There's so many plus size women who would have never entered the gym and who would have never discovered how fucking amazing badass they were if it wasn't for people like you and for strongmen. Period.
Period.
Period. Because they will
Yes.
never be those step class bitches.
Right?
I'll just fall on my face. I mean, I can dance, but I can't do no step. I mean, shit, know your place. It's society. Just eat shit every time. Okay, so what made you desire to pursue strongman? Kind of
Honestly, just
covered it, but
because I always told myself like, girl, I'm like, I am lifting heavy just to lift heavy, just so whatever, right? So I told myself, I'm like, why don't I just go and use my lifting talents, I guess you call it, and actually,
so
yeah, and actually go into a sport that doesn't, require you to be a certain size or a certain weight or whatever, and you can just go in there and just do your thing. And that's why I got into strongman,
That's the
because I
best
was
thing
like,
about heavyweight is like once you get past certain weight, it's like you're just a heavyweight. I'm like, yay.
yeah,
There's never a max
yeah,
weight. Just like, yeah, you're just a heavy person. I'm like, yay.
heavyweight. And then also when you get into your 40s, you can go into a master class.
I
That's what I'm
know,
looking
right?
for.
I'm so fucking excited.
Yeah,
So I mean, you started pursuing powerlifting, and because I'm interested in that too. Like, I understand. I'm thinking I can guess like the psychology of like why you want to do that. But is it just because your squat and deadlift is heavy as fuck because you're just so strong? And your bench, guys, her bench for a chick. Oh, watch her videos. Yeah.
yeah. Well, like after strongman, I just thought like, I want to try powerlifting. It's just something I want to just have under my belt. You know what I mean? Like, you just like, okay, I done the strongman. Now I want to try powerlifting to see what I can do. And yeah, and I did it. Like, I just, because I know strongman, it's a lot of endurance. It's a lot of heavy lifting endurance, which is totally different from powerlifting.
Oh
So
yeah.
powerlifting, you're just doing one rep
That's what
max.
works for me so good is because of my cardio background as a dancer. That's why I find it really easy for me with strongman, that I'm just naturally strong.
Yeah.
And I like it because it's more creative. Like powerlifting, I like because it's like, if you just do the work in the gym, it's a pretty high unlikely that you won't meet your reps that you want to during competition, right? As long as you rest, recover, all those other principles of life. But with
Yeah.
strongman, there's so many different implements, so many variables of what could go wrong. So even if you've trained properly and you're strong as fuck and you're stronger than a competitor, you just may lose. But I feel like powerlifting is a little bit easier to just kind of climb that ladder in the sense of like, do the work, show up,
Yeah.
get her done. And I feel like
Yeah.
strongman is like way more complicated and like, yeah,
Oh,
you never,
totally.
the outcome is just like a farce sometimes,
Yeah.
But, all right,
And there's
then.
like, obviously you get more bruises, you get more like in strongman, you get this. I love it though. I
Yeah.
mean, like, I
Also,
did.
sorry.
No, I was gonna say, like I say, getting bruises and stuff. Like, I got like
Yeah.
bruises on my leg. I got bruises on my arms. I got like my calluses ripped off. Things like
Oh my
that.
gosh, when you're cutting
Yeah.
calluses. I think also because like the thing is too, when people listen to this podcast, they're like, no, and I'm like, well, it depends where you live. Like, like you said, access to equipment, access to competition. So even in a place
Yeah.
where you don't have a lot of equipment, you can't really train for all the different shapes and things that you lift, right? Like I've only done landmine and Viking presses with the barbells on the rack, which I showed you when we were together,
Mhm.
because we don't actually have that in any of the competitions here. But I want to train
Yeah.
for it in case I ever do, you know?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I saw them some in Real Manitoba. Those were competitions before I started. So, but I haven't seen them yet. Like I haven't seen them use the same implements again. So anywho, um, what was I gonna say? So when you first started training for strongman and hitting the gym with heavy weights, like what did your training look like? Because like I said, you do so much sports and cardio, you fish, like you're just in general like an extremely active lifestyle. I don't know why you don't have 1,000 brands that you're repping because you're just amazeballs. So I really want to understand how you do breakdowns. I mean, it's nice that you work at gym because then you're just already there. You know, it makes it so
Yeah.
much easier to put in your day. But yeah, break it down for me, girl. Like progressive training, like how you got as strong as you did, and how you balance your cardio and heavy lifts.
So yeah, so when I was training for like when I was training for strongman, I just kind of like mimic some of the moves that it didn't have. For example, like a yoke. I don't have a yoke carry kind of thing. So all I did was load up 4 plates, so 405 pounds on a barbell, and I just walked out with it, walked back, walked out, walked back, and that's pretty much what I did with 400. Try to mimic a yoke. To do farmer carries, I took a trap bar, loaded that up, and just walked with it. And also for axle, I don't know how I did it with axle. There was at another gym, they had a little tiny axle bar, and I kind of just used that to try to press and then try to deadlift. And it was like this axle bar was only like 4 feet. It was really tiny. I don't know how I did it, but I just mimicked everything. The only thing I didn't mimic was the stone, so I didn't know what to really, how to do that. And then for like honestly for cardio wise, I just I honestly my cardio is actually not so bad. I love like I can sprint. I love sprinting when it comes to softball. Like I can run the whole base. Like I don't know how where it comes from. I just sprint sprint my ass off. Sometimes I sprint so fast. One time I didn't make it to the finish line that I kind of tumbled because my mind was like, "Yes, girl, you got this." My legs were like, "Oh no, you don't." And then yeah, but that's that's where I get my cardio from.
So
Like,
that a lot of it is like mind over matter, right? Because like
yeah,
if you stay unfit, then you'll live unfit. But if you just like, there's people always ask me that. They're like, how do you do it? I'm like, don't you realize you're heavy? I'm like, yeah, but I don't think about it though. Like I don't walk into the gym or live my life like I'm heavy. I need to walk heavy.
yeah,
I think of
yeah.
us as a mighty buff fairy. Anyway, someone should make a logo like that. Maybe that could be a merch shirt. I don't know. But yeah, but I mean, like in terms of like, how did you progressive load, right? Like, did you start? Because I mean, you do so many different things in your training from your videos, like mobility exercises and a lot of bands. You're the reason why I learned how and knew, discovered about adding bands to the barbells and stuff like that. It's just a lot of key specific um, deficit things that you do that I don't see a lot of other athletes do. So I'm just really curious about that, like how you built into that. Where did you find those knowledge bases? This is like 5 questions in one. And then how you teach your clients and get them to get that strength in such a short time.
So well, how I progressed before I even had when I hired my coach Tanya. So what I usually do is I go by percentage wise. Like for example, like whatever 1 rep max I hit, I would set a new goal. So I set a target, and then if it's for example it's my deadlift, so on my deload week, I would like train myself to like, okay, well my target say 400-pound deadlift. Then I would take like 400 and I'll only do 50% of that weight, so it'll be like super light. And then I would do like a 4x10 kind of thing, right? And then the next week I would do a 4x8, but at a 55-60%. So I kind of do percentage wise. So that's how I train my clients to get stronger.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, oh well, this is light. I'm like, yeah, it's light now, but when the week goes on, it's just gonna get a lot heavier.
It's the same. Yeah, I mean, you have to go. I totally agree with you. Like, you have to go from like a cardio endurance standpoint first, because
Yeah,
then you're never compromising technique. and you're never
Yes.
hurting your and putting yourself at risk of mobility. And I figured out that science without even realizing I had that science when I applied strongman because of training dancers. Because I always worked with dancers who, were different, right? Different
Yeah.
body types, weren't professional dancers, didn't have years of muscle memory, right? And strength.
Mhm.
And I had to get them to certain places, a certain amount of time. And I'm like, well, if you've got to do X amount of acts, you need to have X amount of stamina in the rehearsal. So I had to figure that out. And also, I've always taught kids and seniors and people who, like I said, like the underdogs, right? Like kids who don't have access to sports. So like, recreation. But I always wanted, even though it was a recreation program, I wanted to give them pro coaching. I wanted to give them pro level programming, even though I get paid the same, because I wanted those kids to have the same opportunity. I was like, it's not about how much money you make, right? You should be
Yeah.
punished for that. And because my mom was a single mom, I was a poor kid growing up, like I was like, what fuck would happen if somebody believes in themselves and they have the right programming, the right resources, even if you don't have access to crazy good nutrition, a lot of it's just, programming science. So like you said, it's like, it's the cardio, it's the progressive uploading. But
Yep.
so what does like an average training day look like with you? How often do you work on your mobility exercises and the stuff you do with bands, right? Versus just your deadlift and squat? Because I see a huge amount of both, but I was just wondering how you slot that in your day and how many days you do each.
So I train myself at least 3 to 4 times a week. So I'll do so I have my compound, your compounds, right? So one day would be like bench. So I would do my compound, my heavy lifts, and then I do accessories. But I always make sure that before and after I start, I always make sure I warm up really good. A lot of times people will think, okay, why, I see a lot of them, they walk in the gym, they're cold, they just go to the bench and they start, getting the barbell and start repping it out so fast. And they think, okay, well, that's my warm up. I'm like, no, you're gonna hurt yourself, and they don't realize that. But for me, like like for
Yeah.
me, yeah, and for
Ooh.
me, I gotta make sure I warm up my body, make sure my mobility is, I'm good, like I'm flexible. So I take a good like a 10, 15, like for myself, 10, 15 minutes to warm myself up. And then I go warm up on the bench and, things like that, right? And then after, same thing, I do another good stretch, warm, with either with bands, or just kind of like just on the floor and just like stretch it out. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so
I've
that's
also seen the extreme opposite of people doing like hit cardio rate before, like over excessive. And like for someone
Mhm.
who's trained like that personally, professionally, it's like you shouldn't, in my opinion, like doing heavy cardio before you lift weights is not good. Like what I used to
No,
always do when I was a bodybuilder, and that's like, once again, if you're gonna, like there was a track at the commercial gym I worked at, so I would run around the track. And I was so fucking crazy. I was so obsessed with being skinny. Like in between each set when I was bodybuilding, I'd fucking
yeah,
run around this track as fast as I could, like a sprinter.
crazy.
I'd wait. I'd be like, "Duk, duk, 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 duk," 30 seconds and then hit another set. And that's not healthy. But anyways, that's how you burn fat. And that does work. When you talk about anabolic and all these different things, which I know because you're a trainer, you know about all this stuff. That works if you're bodybuilding. But when you're lifting fucking weights, it's a bad idea. You don't want to deplete your CNS. You don't want to do shit tons of cardio. You want to warm up everything, your lungs, get everything flowing nice and warm, nice and stretched. And a pre-stretch will tell you what your range of motion is. Your body will give you kickback. It'll say, listen, you're not going there today, sister. And then that's fine. You don't go there, hurt yourself. But you won't know that because you didn't fucking stretch and now you've hurt yourself. Like it tells you where you're at. And I'd have dancers who like they'd come in, they couldn't fucking stretch. I'm like, dude, what the hell did you eat last night? What have you been doing this week? Oh, I'm stressed. I'm like, hey, well, we're not gonna be able to do it today. And I would just get annoyed because not because I care about how they look, because I'd be like, well, you're not gonna be able to finish the rehearsal and you're gonna get sick. So, it's just about, eating. And so I want to go into this now too, is, I'm sure like I'd see your stuff you'd post and I'm like, I want to eat that. Like I always say, like, I wish I lived close to you. Cause I'd just be like, let's lift weights and eat food. Your food looks so good. But, working Thai nutrition and the science of that, instead of just like chicken breast and steak, I'm curious, like what meals, like your carb to macro, micro ratios are and how you work your Thai food and that culture into training. Because it's not like you see a lot of influencers that post Thai recipes and who are bodybuilders or who strongmen. So that's really unique. So I was just curious about that.
Well, now, like, I actually measure my rice. So I have like a little, like a measuring cup kind of thing, and like it's like 1/4. So I took two scoops of that for my carbs for my rice, and then I usually make something that has veggies. I always have to have some kind of veggie. If I don't like, that's why I see a lot of stir fries. Like I make a lot of stir fries just
I
because I have
love
like,
stir fry.
yeah, and it's like for me, it's simple, it's easy. So I would just like stir that up. You got my all my veggies that I love, and I just throw that in there and just eat that. And like, if I don't have my veggies or whatever, then I'll just have like a kind of like just a salad, but then I'll have my protein and my rice because I cannot have rice. You know, it's like
Rice. I grew up on rice because my mom was married to a Chinese dude. My older
yeah.
brother used to have a Chinese dad, and so like I grew up on stir fry and rice. I fucking love it. Okay, is your finger on the microphone? You sound fish bowly.
Oh, do I?
Yeah. So funny story, you guys. We literally took like half an hour to try to start this freaking interview because we both had to unplug our headphones because the headphones were like rejecting us. So we
Yes.
apologize for the sound quality. Uh, they were trying to stop us from this greatness.
Is it
Um,
okay now?
no, but that's okay. We'll just make it
Oh,
work. I don't
okay.
know why. It's just we're just having one of those technology days. Um, yeah, so like you see a lot of rice and stir fry. And what's your feelings like? I do keto carnivore, so I do like a relatively low carb diet. I don't do that if I'm doing implements and strongman and cardio. I do the carb. Sorry, you will die. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that as a trainer? Because I know this is always like taboo and controversial, and people are either on one side. So what's your take on that, man?
Like being on keto or
Well, just yeah, and then just eating carbs, and
just
eating
like
rice. What's your feelings on it?
honestly, I tell everybody, I'm like, eat your food, love your food. But just if you really like, if you want to be on like, if you want to lose weight or if you want to be, healthier, just like be on a calorie deficit. As I said, and
Yeah.
do not eat 1,200 calories because you are not a child. I tell that to so many people that you
You're
have
not
to
a child.
increase your calories, as well, because a lot of people think like, okay, well, I need to eat 1,200 or less, and I do have clients
I
who
just think
are,
that's insane.
yeah, it's
Like I
insane.
used to do 1,500 as a bodybuilder, and like every personal trainer dude I dated would be like, "What's your consuming? You need to eat like 3,000." And I did lose weight when I was doing 3,000. What screwed up my metabolism was I would do it, and somebody would say it's fat or something, and then I'd be like, "Okay," and then I'd go into like 1,500 reduction, and it just
Yeah,
yeah, it makes you sickly. People like don't do it. It's
yeah,
not worth it. Like
yeah,
it's like when I was pregnant with my second, like the whole time I wanted to throw punch all the nurses because like I'm in the hospital and they're constantly checking my son for diabetes. I'm like, why the fuck are you checking him for diabetes? I'm not diabetic. They didn't believe me. These nurses in the fucking hospital. And I'm like, my doctor told you to your face, and I'm telling you to your face that I am not diabetic. Don't fucking give me all this high sugar shit and try to test me and fuck with my insulin and fuck with my kid. I like in his insulin. I
yeah.
refused. I
Oh, for
refused. I was like,
sure.
I'm not doing your glycemic in drink. Fuck right off. Oh, what about tells the baby? I'm like, if you're so concerned, do blood work. Blood work comes back perfect. Okay, now get on my face.
Yeah,
Right? So, like I said, unless you have, and carbs is really just sugar, right? Starches. So it's like, unless you're diabetic, like, and I honestly think that cutting that to an extreme is actually what causes, and there is science to that causes like heavy weight gain is too little or too heavy
yeah,
carbs. I think
totally.
eliminating out of your diet completely is just stupid. I just don't
Yeah,
think it's like natural. If you study any ancient cultures, all of them had some carbs in their diet. The only ones that
yeah,
were really unhealthy is when they started to like introduce like white refined sugar and high sugar diets,
yeah.
and you
And
took
also
away fat.
look at the Asian countries. They're freaking skinny as fuck, but yet they
And they're
eat
eating
lots
noodles
of,
every
they
fucking
noodles,
day.
they eat rice, they eat, so you
Noodles.
cannot blame like rice and noodles and stuff like that on like weight gain. It's just honestly, if you're eating too much,
Yeah,
there you go. You know what I mean?
1,000%. It's a simple. People understand keto, all these things. It's calorie reduction. Fasting is calorie reduction. You're just
Totally.
keto. It's
Yeah.
calorie reduction. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
people are like, well, I'm alcoholic because I'm doing keto. No, did you stop drinking? Calorie reduction.
Yes. Yes.
Fuck, did you stop eating cake? Calorie reduction. And it's
Right.
like it just proves it's like Eddie Hall. He's not diabetic. He's heavy. He's strong. He needs
Yeah.
sugar for strongman. And it's like, what, did you see his diet before he did protein shakes? It's like, it was like heavy carb, heavy
Yeah.
carb. And also it's like, the guy, this is a fact, this, I want to hear your opinion on this too. Because I'm sure at some point somebody's been like, hey, Herbalife, people and bodybuilders, a lot of reason why a lot of these guys die, because they're doing too much artificial protein powder. Our
Yeah.
body doesn't know what the fuck it is. It doesn't digest it well. It sits in us. It's hard on our liver. Not good. People are like, no, protein's hard on your liver. I'm like, no, artificial protein is hard on your liver. And protein without carbs, it's hard on your body. It's not the level of protein, it's the fact that you're having it by itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and especially without fasting. When people are like, oh, I'm just gonna eat like protein like 8 times a day. And I'm like, if that works, buddy, why is it the moment you stop, you turn into a little vegetable stick man? If all carbs turn into fat, why am I still muscular?
Yeah.
Like I haven't been lifting heavy because I had a baby. So, anyways, bitches, I don't know, thoughts too. I'm sorry, my little rant.
No, that's good. That's good.
But no, I'm just curious because I'm sure you get asked about that a lot, right? Like that's probably a huge part of the conversation when you're training people.
About,
Well, like carbs, diet, nutrition.
oh yeah,
I'm
like,
working
yeah,
with
yeah.
clients right now and training
Sorry.
people. Like, what do you assign them in the diet plan?
Girl, do I tell them calorie deficit? That's all I tell them. I go, this is, I don't say anything.
Energy
I
in,
go,
energy
yeah, I
out.
go, yeah. And I told them, I go, if you're honestly, you're going to be one of my clients, you want to strength train, you need carbs. I'm like, you cannot eliminate carbs because you need energy. You need, because I've actually had some clients who were like, oh, I'm going to go on keto. And when they come with train with me, they're like, I'm so tired. I can't lift. I'm like, why can't you lift? Oh, I don't have any carb. I'm like, oh my God, I already told
Okay,
you.
science. So, okay, vegans have a very high sugar, high carb diet, very low protein diet, and they're
Mhm.
usually pretty skinny. Vegans lose weight. I'm not saying they're healthy, and I'm offending, triggering people. If you want to be vegan, cool, I support you. I have vegan friends that lift. It's all good. But
Mhm.
this is my opinion on it. Take it or leave it. But what I have found is like the reason why they're still skinny is because it's calorie reduction. Because vegetables aren't high in calories, right?
Yeah.
And especially
Yep.
the raw vegans, they're not adding any fat to it. So, your body like can only use so much nutrients out of those vegetables and digest bioavailability so much. And so the rest just you kind of pee out. So it's like if they're doing like a high vegetable, they're getting the energy from the fruit. They're usually sugar addicts because they're getting the energy from sugar, but and then they have a lot of carbs, and that's why they have some energy. But there's like, well, why are they skinny? I'm like, because that those foods don't have a lot of um, uh, calories. And then if they're vegan triathletes, right, like to do really heavy cardio, then they're just burning it off.
Yep.
So once again, energy in, energy out.
And yeah.
But
Exactly.
yeah, so because people are so obsessed with keto, and it's like I always say to them, I'm like, because doctors, oh my God. So when I tell them to do keto carnivore, I'm not actually pregnant with my son right now. The doctor in the ER, because I had cramps, he's like, oh, that's your problem. That's why you're fat. Fucking said this to me.
What?
Because I do keto carnivore. Yeah. I was like, I want to get this
Oh
shit on
my God.
film. Like, I need to get this shit on film. Oh, yeah,
Damn.
fuck. This,
That's
this,
some crazy.
I'm
That's
like,
some crazy shit.
yeah, I'm like, dude, did you study sports nutrition? Shh. I
Mm-hmm.
was really have to pull up my Strongman videos. Like, look, I can pull a truck. I'm sure if I can pull a truck, I know how to eat, dumbass.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Seriously.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't mind having a little treat here and there because I know what I do. Take care of
Yeah.
myself.
I
Eat
feel
your
you, girl.
rice. Eat your
Right?
rice. Your stir fry.
Yeah.
Um,
Eat your rice. Eat your noodles.
eat your
I
meal.
actually
Oh
want some
man,
right now, actually.
you and I should have a ramen swap party. Like we just like mail each other like packets of ramen.
Oh
Just
my
test
God.
out different flavors. You guys, you should send us some ramen. You know,
Yes,
you
please.
mail it to me, and I'll mail it to Sue. We'll
Thank
have like
you.
a little ramen review video
Yeah.
on which ramen is the best before workout.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're so humble, you're so positive. It's like my favorite thing about you. Like I said, sweet Sue. Your
Mhm.
energy is so positive, so calming. Like, oh man, you'd be such an amazing mom. I'm just saying. And by the way, her husband and her are so in love. They've been together so long. It makes me so jelly. Like your love story is so beautiful. I just think that you have it all, and I think that to me, you are the type of person that should be on a magazine of like, you know, women to look up to of success and accomplishment. That's how I see you, you know?
Well,
But
thank you. Yeah.
I'm sure in this journey, because we're both heavyweights, right?
Mhm.
That we had, you know, maybe self-doubt because you do so much calisthenics training. You're so like insane. Like it's so much balance strength. But were there moments of doubt? You know, were there moments where I know you kind of briefly talked about like, can I do this? Can I be a personal trainer? Like what were those moments and like how did you overcome that?
Yeah, like I said, like for me to even think about like I said, even like becoming a personal trainer, just like in a commercial gym, you know, like just to put myself there that's not a certain size that everybody else thinks. Because you see a lot of trainers, they're like either muscular, they're like, you know, men, women, whatever, right? Skinny. But I
Mhm.
was like, no, I'm going to break this stereotype. And I just said, fuck it, pretty much. Just like, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see how it is. And plus, honestly, just like, when I got my first clients, it was actually a friend, like, you know, training her. I was like, oh, okay, you know, and then trying that out, and then I'm getting another client and get another client, and then people are actually just like, girl, you're good. I'm like, oh, thank you,
Like
and then
damn.
yeah, and then the fact that, you know, just I guess they see me around just in the gym doing my thing, like, no, you know, working out, and just like, you know, like I I guess they just like was in awe. And then I taught a class. I never thought I would teach a freaking, you know, I would run a hit class, like, you know, and my hit class like probably had the most people in the class. Like I went up to like 21
No, I saw it. I
people.
was like,
Yeah,
shit.
I know. And it was just me, just, you know, like programming this thing. And I honestly, like, I'm honestly, I'm still in shock. Like I'm like still can't believe, like, I mean, I guess I can't believe, but now it's, but it's just a nice thing, like just to break that stereotype and just
Or
to,
people are sick and tired of seeing it though. Like I'm sick and tired of seeing it. Honestly, like I
Mhm.
really am. Like it's boring. I mean, I appreciate your body. I respect it. I respect the training discipline. But I just want to
Mhm.
be around real women, whatever you look like. You know what I mean? Whatever size you
Yeah,
are, height, color, anything. I don't care. Just
yeah,
like I just
yeah,
want to see diversity, you know?
yeah.
Up in the
And
gym,
right, yeah, and
Lizzo
honestly,
working on my fitness, you know?
our gym, like, or Anytime Fitness gym, now we have like women who are all different shapes, all different sizes, becoming personal trainers now. Like they're just like, you know what I mean? And then I just love it. And
Yeah, it
it's just,
used to be this vibe of like, oh yeah, get a perfect body and then come to the gym. And I'm like, what?
yeah,
I'm looking
yeah,
for like trying to.
yeah. And I was always scared, like, if like men, like even men, like not coming up to me and be like, oh, I don't want you as my trainer, you know, blah blah blah. But actually you have men coming up to me and be like, you know, can you train me, you know, strength training, things like that. And I was like, what? Okay, you know, things. So it's actually really, it's really, it's nice to hear, nice to see in here, and just to kind of like, yeah, it's just,
Um, like I remember when I started bodybuilding, I never went into like weightlifting rooms because it's always like commercial gym I worked at was like on the third floor. And
yeah,
you weren't allowed in there. It was like you're a girl. You're supposed to do step classes and teach group fitness. You're not allowed to lift heavy weights. I was not allowed in there. And when I started training for strongman, I was the only girl in the gym in that area training heavy weights. I was stronger than any of the guys in there. Like
you
I was
see,
doing rows of like 350 pounds and shit. And like I was maxing out machines. Like I can't remember what the exercise is called. I have a video. You guys can find it on my Instagram. But I was like leaning forward. You're on your knees and you've got like the tricep rope like this, and you're just doing a crunch basically on your
oh
knees.
yeah, yeah, so
And
you're
I was
correct.
doing like 220 pounds, and I was like, how the fuck am I doing this? Like I've had a kid. I'm like twice the weight I was, and that's when I was like, you know what? Maybe I can touch a fucking barbell. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing when I first started, like no clue. And it wasn't set up for lifting. And so like I would literally be like right by the stairs and people would be like coming in and out. And behind me was like bench presses. And I was like literally facing this like rack, like the barbells that have the weights preloaded on them,
Yeah,
like the old school 1 inches. And that's
yeah,
how I started training. And I was just facing the bar. And then like you said, like guys started coming up to me, girls started coming up to me. And then like one guy's like black guy came up to me and I was like doing like you know, sitting leg press. And he just kept adding plates. And and at the end I was like, how the fuck do you lift that? He's like, you don't know how strong you are. That's what I'm trying to say is women, we just don't know how strong we are because we've just never been talked to like that. We've never been
Yeah.
encouraged, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh yeah, maybe I can do this, you know? And then it just like kind of went from there. And now it's like nothing, but I remember I was like terrified of that room and I never ever thought I would go up there. So
Yeah.
um it's just key moments. So I'm curious with your clients to do so many mobility exercises, like when you're programming them and because your squat and your bench, your dead is so insane. I want to know what specific exercises you do or you get clients to do that you've seen produces real results in terms of raising those numbers in squat, dead, and bench.
So what I do, like I said, like when I do their programs, like I just always like, you know, proper warm up, obviously, proper warm up. And then they do their compound movement. So if they do whatever their heavy lift, always make sure they do accessories. And they don't at first they're like, accessories. I'm like, yeah. So after you do your heavy lifts, you gotta go. So for example, if you do deadlifts, we're gonna go work your back. So pretty much your glutes, your hammies, your upper back, everything like that. And they're like, oh, okay. So then would they do that? So if it's leg day, we're gonna work all your leg strength and all this and that. And then when it comes down to like time to test, when I tell them, okay, this is your week, you're gonna rest, you're gonna, and then these men and women are just hitting numbers they never
No.
thought they would hit.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Kind of froze for a sec. But yeah, and then they're like, holy crap. They're like, I just yeah.
again. Oh my gosh, technology's fighting with us
Yeah.
whole night. You're saying?
But yeah, so they're just like, like I said, like, so for them to program, I just program their like the numbers that they need to hit for their, percentage of their compounds, and then their accessories, whatever it is that they need to work on to make. So I always say, bigger the lats, the bigger the bench kind of thing. Bigger the lats,
Oh God, my head went so many ways that the bigger the lats, the bigger the bench.
That's what I say. So or
Wait,
whatever.
I got more. See these lats, want to look like me, want to feel like me, want to have women like me. Train the lats.
Yeah. I freaking love lap pulls. I don't know what it is.
Oh, I love lats, man. I love
Right?
them. The one thing I heard is I hate is shrugs because it always like hurt my neck. I think I like
Oh yeah.
oversee. My technique on shrugs just sucks. Like that's like the one thing I'm like,
Shrugs is
oh.
honestly Shrugs is in my program, but I'm not gonna lie, I did it at the beginning and I'm like, nah.
They're not
I
for
mean
me.
it's good, but it will help you. But I mean, yeah.
They're
So
really good for things like farmers carry, where you have to hold the weight and walk. Because
yeah.
technically in your farmies carry,
Mhm.
you have to walk and like you literally are doing that. You're shrugging. So I think
Yep.
it makes sense for certain movements. And that's
Yeah.
why it's important to understand those patterns and how that would actually play out in strongman, Because like if you're training for powerlifting, it's like it's basically bodybuilding. You know what I mean? It's bodybuilding with compound lifts. But yeah,
Yeah.
strongman, you really have to work on those mobilities. So when you're talking about what you're training, how often do you test people? Like at what point do you think, hey, I can move this person on to the next level, right? Like
Yeah.
how do you what is your test?
I
How is it
usually
that
put
you
them on
gauge someone's strength?
like an 8-week kind of program. So yeah, and it all depends on like how many times they train with me. If it's twice or 3 times a week, it'll be a little bit faster. But then if it's like, just once or twice, then it might be a little bit longer. It all depends on, and I tell them too, you have a membership. I need you to come in on your own. So, you actually can build even more strength as to just coming with once or twice with me kind of thing. Cause when I started off with a personal trainer too. So when I had, personal trainer, I was like, I want 4 times a week. That's how committed I was. So if you come in like 3-4 times a week, you're going to get stronger no matter what.
Yeah.
Like
Facts.
yeah,
But
you
I
will
mean,
get stronger.
like commit to it, like honestly, like I asked Sue to train me and that was the plan. I was gonna also work with Janet, she's a referee. Plan to have her on the show with powerlifting here in Manitoba.
Oh
But
yeah,
I got pregnant. So
yeah. Yeah.
we'll get there again. But I'm starting with basic foundation, so I'm not there. But I definitely want to work with you because I think for me, as a person with disability and mobility issues, like I understand from a dad's perspective, and I feel 90% confident, but I feel like you've mastered that science. So like I said, I really reach out or so I really recommend anyone listening to reach out to Sue because out of all the people I've ever followed or seen videos, Instagram, you know, influencers of every type and every like really successful ones, honestly, and it's not because she's on my show, you're the best I've seen. Like the stuff that I see you produce is such high quality, like celebrity trainer quality that I'm like, we need more coaches and trainers like you, not just in commercial gyms, but just in gyms in general, like lifting gyms to work with women. So male or female, whoever's listening, like I said, I highly recommend her. You know, you totally do a virtual program with you too. Don't have to be in person. So how do they, can you tell us how they find you, girl? How do they find you? How to reach out, connect? What's your preferred method of contact?
Well, they can just honestly they can message me on Instagram. So go on my Instagram, Sue Cooks and Lifts. I will give you my email, but my email is oneofatie@hotmail.com. But I mean, you can email me too. So
I'll put that on the screen. Just no, she's married, people. No, me like, hey, could you cook for me? Hmm? Like, yeah,
I
you're gonna get a
cannot.
sandwich from my closed down kitchen, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I really appreciate you sharing your story. I like I said, you're so inspirational. I'm so thankful for you. Um, I just dramatically changed my life, and I just want you ladies to know all it takes is a bit of time in the gym, and then these people come around you, and these things help you, and then before you know it, you're lifting, you're winning competitions, and it's having a positive effect on your life. So don't worry about the starting process. I think personally, from most people I've talked to, in my experience, like it takes 3 months to kind of get your head around it all and get
Yeah.
comfortable with it, but don't quit in that 3 month process.
Yes.
Keep going.
Yes.
So leads us to the ending of this theme today. Upping your training game. What can people do to up their training game now if they're they've gotten comfortable where they live in a home or gym
Yeah.
with weights and they're wanting to compete and they're amateurs in strength sports? What would you recommend they do to up their game, training game?
Well, I honestly like for myself, like to up my training game, I actually make sure now that I actually have time for myself. Like, and I know there's, everyone has stress in their life. But you just gotta try to like use that gym as your therapy. Um, and get a lot of rest. Because I know there's times where like I was only getting like 4 hours sleeps in the summer, things like that, and it took away from a lot of my, training and things like that. But now that I'm actually making sure that I have time, that I actually give self myself time to actually train and actually put in work this time and not half-assing it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you
man.
want to go in there and like, hey, this is my 2 hours, whatever it is, 1 hour, 2 hours. This is my time. I'm gonna go and freaking lift shit up because that's what I do.
Girl,
Yeah,
lift,
and then yeah, and then
lift it.
yeah,
Do
and then
it.
make time for yourself. That's what I always say. Gotta make time
Yeah,
for
fucking
yourself.
don't. It's just, especially for mom, man. I know I say this every podcast episode, but like honestly, women, like you work your ass off to make these beautiful meals for your kids. You plan their education activities at home. You plan how to support their schools. You spend so much time taking care of others, and why should you apologize or feel ashamed? Like, you know what?
Exactly.
I really don't understand that. My husband's sleeping. They're all sleeping right now. They're all happy. They're all fed. They're all
Yeah.
good. Why does it
Yeah.
matter if I'm down in my basement training in the gym? I mean, I do definitely agree. Like, I do skip days if I think like because I have a baby, like, and women, please, like, if you have young kids, it's a totally different ball game when your kids are 5 and up. If your kids under 5, just do as much as you can. Don't beat yourself up. Don't overweigh yourself. Don't over beat yourself up for calories. Like, once again, you know what I mean? Like, as long as it's always that 80-20 rule, right? Just keep going, keep showing up, keep, motivating yourself. Don't give up. I think to me, what's up to training your game is, like you said, self care. If you're not taking care of yourself, like baths. I used to jump out of the bath. If my husband was with my baby and I heard him crying, I'm like, because women, it's a science. I
Yeah.
mean, sex is generous, but women, it's a given ability to just sense the baby what it needs exactly, a little bit faster. And I
Yeah.
used to hop out of the bathtub and I'd get so resentful and angry, and then he'd get to sleep and I'd be like, now I don't
Yeah.
do that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have my bath. I'm gonna wash my
Yeah.
hair. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I'm gonna do my foam rolling. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have my meal, baby. You can wait because yeah, I just couldn't do it anymore. And I didn't want to be this time around with the second kid. I don't want to be angry at my kid. I didn't want to be resentful of my husband. And especially with this lockdown, moms, a lot of us moms are locked in. It's not healthy. It's not normal to be completely raising baby by yourself with no other women or babies around you. It's not good for the kids either. So I feel like, you know, especially now, like women, like whether or not you have kids, but like take care of yourself. You know, it's one thing I've learned in life is if you don't, because I've been sick, I've been unhealthy. Um, Health is wealth,
Yeah.
and you got to take care of you at the end of the day. Like you said, you can't take care of anyone else if you don't take care of you. So value yourself, like you're gold, you're a diamond. You know, straight
Yeah.
up. Sorry, I'm
You
just
know.
all getting preachy and emotional. Out there.
But it's so true though. I'm sorry, but it's so true though. Like, yeah, like you just gotta do it. You gotta do it. Even if it's 1 hour. It's your me time. Take your
Yep,
me
totally. I mean, I'm definitely a lot happier. I sleep better, and I'm just
time.
more motivated. It changed the whole tone of my week. Meal
Mhm.
prepping, because then I'm like, I have no excuses. The food's in the fridge. Like I meal prep today, so I don't have to cook again till Wednesday.
There you go.
It's done. And then I don't have to make excuses. Oh, I didn't know eat all day because I was living off protein shakes and water because I like was trying to take care of the baby and then skipping meals and I was just exhausted. And I was like, you know what? I meal prep. Here's the baby, and then I give him to the hubby. And then I just when I wake up in the morning, then everything gets done. I've done all my work. The house is clean. I've eaten because I just have to pull out of the fridge, either put on a plate or toss in the microwave. Done.
Done.
So yeah, like it's invest in yourself, right? Meal prep is investing in
Yeah.
yourself. It's
Yeah.
not a chore. It's not because you're trying to fit into some body type or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not about that. You know what I mean? See, you
Totally.
get it. People say like how you lift and like you lift and you'll get paid. You strongman to get injured and it's like the memes, you know, like you don't get it. You
Yeah.
understand?
No, I know. So we love it. It's just I don't know. It's just
But
really
then
good.
it's like so many people like same things they said to you said to me like don't do it, you can get hurt or why. And then as soon as they started seeing results, and then all of a sudden these people started following me or commenting on my Instagram, like people from my past, like haters and friends, and I just thought that was really interesting. And they wanted to lift heavy, and I was like, cool, man. Like I hope you get healthy. I hope you get happy. You know. So I think Strongman
Exactly.
does. Self
Right?
love teaches you. But yeah. So anyways, like I want to say thank you for being on our show
Thank you
today.
for having me.
You're
It's
amazing.
an
I really
honor,
can't wait to
honestly.
no, other way around. I really can't wait to get this like panda outfit, and we're
Yeah.
so doing this TikTok thing because I've been wanting to
Yes.
for so long. Um and yeah, so like please visit our website, Panda Strong Podcast. Weebly.com. It's gonna just be Panda Strong Podcast when I launch our merch store in a few weeks. Follow us on IG and Facebook, please. If you like what you're listening to, share it because it's you know you never know what woman you could help, and another way to really create awareness and get this out to people is to give us a 5-star rating. So if you're on Apple, podcast, Spotify, whatever, just give it a little click. And like I said, we're on Apple, Spotify, Google. All you gotta do is search Pan Strong Podcast. Um, and you can get 24/7 access to coupon codes. So on our Strong Women of Canada group, there's tons of lifters and people who have access to that. I've also posted like DIY powerlifting strongman equipment. A really cool thing is I'm going to be making all this stuff in the spring and recording videos of it so you guys can laugh at my pain. And I'm going to be testing glitter on implements. We'll see. I might get some glitter in my eye. Might be a bad idea. We'll find out.